a lot of work's going on in addition to moving the locomotive. Now the new displays themselves will be significantly different to what was in the museum before. They will be themed into quite a large section about the Stockton and Darlington Railway, in which locomotion will be the centre point. Other sections of the displays will look at the theme made in Darlington, which will outline some of the industries that developed in Darlington, both to service the railways directly, such as locomotive works, and to service the railways indirectly, such as steelworks and forges and other signalling manufacturers and so on. We'll look at how Darlington impacted on the railways initially through the construction of the Stockton and Darlington Railway, and then how the railways impacted on Darlington and created a railway town through the building of locomotive works in the town and other railway-related industries. And finally, we'll be looking at some of the what we might call the railways in popular culture, how railways have featured in films, music, poetry, just a slightly different angle, but nonetheless the railways had such an impact on society as a whole that they appeared in all forms of culture. Part of the project has included a new roof being put both over the museum building and over the train shed which runs over the live railway line, the line to Bishop Auckland.
About 30 years ago the roof was recovered in what are known as asphalt shingles, which is just like a felt slate, which wasn't in keeping with the building. It would originally have been Welsh slate, so we're stripping it off, checking the boarding as we go, and then reslating with Welsh slate. So this is a large job. 6 weeks we've been here, 40,000 slates, thereabouts. The slates that come from the quarry are just slates. We have to work the gauge out for the nail holes, we have to hole every slate, bring them up, nail them. Copper nails don't rust, they don't wear out. The slate itself has no effect on copper. There's no corrosion at all. There would be cut copper nails in years gone by. I mean, these are just machine-made copper nails, but they would actually be cut. There would be a thicker nail and a slightly angled shape rather than just a round shaft. The shaft would maybe be a triangle shape or a square shape to them. The method of cutting slate has hardly changed. In fact, it hasn't changed in the history of slating. It's always a cutting iron, which we call a prod, which sticks into the roof, and then a slate knife that we actually do the cutting with a chopping motion.
It's been a complete project in itself, really. But it will mean that the roof is now back to its almost original condition, and of course it will protect all the new displays which will be constructed within the building itself.
Well, my name is Fred Ramshaw. I work for the North Eastern Locomotive Preservation Group, which is a purely voluntary organisation with a workshop on the site. We also have a workshop down at North Yorkshire Moors Railway at Gromont, where we repair and restore locomotives.
The first locomotive to be moved out of the museum was called Blue Peter. That has gone away completely and that won't figure in our new displays, largely because the locomotives that we want to include in our new displays are all built in Darlington, and Blue Peter was built in Doncaster. A very famous locomotive, and it's been quite an attraction while it's been here, but unfortunately it was built in the wrong place as far as our displays are concerned.
It's going to our workshop just across the field from the museum. As I say, it'll been there for about 4 years, give or take. So because there's no track across there, it's got to be taken across on a low loader and offloaded and then pushed in by a shunter.
The locomotive is being moved by a firm called Move Right International, who are specialists in heavy haulage, movement of locomotives, and they have not only the specialism but also the equipment to move and lower into position the locomotives that are in the collection here. It's a very specialised job and it takes a lot of care and attention and expertise, and they are the company that are probably the best in the field at doing this sort of work, and not only are they working for us in moving the locomotive to where we want them positioned for our new displays, but they're also working on behalf of the National Railway Museum, who own all the locomotives in the museum here.
You know, when you see one going past, you can say, so well, I did a bit of that. And again, I've been on the footplate of Blue Peter going over Shap, over Beedick, on the East Coast Main Line. We have an engine which works in Scotland from Fort William to Mallaig, and that is a really scenic line with very steep and tight curves. And it's nice to be on a footplate and think, well, that's our engine, we did that. And I know it sounds a bit corny, but it's something to know that you had a little bit of an input.
Darlington's Railway Museum at North Road has been undergoing a year-long £1.7 million facelift. Work began in April 2007 with artefacts, exhibits and steam locomotives being moved out of the museum for safekeeping. Workmen and specialists then began the work required to restore the building and redesign the interior to provide a welcoming museum that both the general public and the railway enthusiasts could benefit from and enjoy equally.
I'm Andrew Goodman. I'm the Managing Director at Move Right International Limited. We specialise in moving the odd, the awkward and the difficult all around the world. Locomotion was originally located at the east end of the building, and we have to get it to its new position, which is at the west end of the building. So we have a special movement frame that we've placed the locomotive on from its old position and then brought it along the platform. What we've then done is traversed it sidewards over what was effectively the old platform road, and then progressively during the course of the afternoon we've lowered it down using a system of hydraulic jacks and timber blocks. Just very shortly we're hoping to have the movement frame that the loco is currently sitting on in line with the tracks, so that we can roll the locomotive off the frame and onto the existing rails in the pit of the building.
Before work actually began within the museum, the entire roof was renewed with over 40,000 Welsh slate tiles. The whole building was cleaned and given several coats of paint. So now, with a new set of locomotives lined up in chronological order along the track, new exhibit stands and interactive displays in place, and a brand new boiler system installed to keep everyone warm in winter. It was all hands on the platform to ensure that the newly refurbished and renamed Head of Steam Railway Museum was ready for the official launch and the opening day. The Head of Steam Railway Museum was officially opened by Councillor Nick Wallace on April 4th, 2008.
It's with great pleasure that I declare Head of Steam, Darlington's Railway Museum, open.
With over 3,000 people attending the opening day extravaganza, the staff of the Railway Museum could proudly claim it to have been a fabulous success.
We've now got a truly interactive visitor experience with Head of Steam Darlington's Railway Museum. I think the £1.7 million investment that's occurred over the last 12 months has given us a museum that really celebrates Darlington's railway heritage, and also somewhere where you can bring your family, have a morning out, have an afternoon out, workshops, a good cafe experience, and something that is truly interactive and is going to help you learn through play and learn through an experience that we really weren't able to provide in the past.
I think the Railway Museum is absolutely fabulous. I've been associated with it since 1975 when the first refurbishment was done, and my company won the contract to do that work, and it was a good museum then. Now it's magnificent. I mean, I've always thought that, this is the birthplace of railways, and it all started right here. Nobody seems to have appreciated that.
This thing here, this wonderful thing, locomotion number 1, that is why Darlington exists. This is the world's first steam-powered passenger railway engine. On the opening day of the railway, it actually came past this very, very site here, stopped at about midday here to let 300 people off, and some coal was brought into the centre of Darlington for the first time by a railway from the coalfields up in South Durham. And so you can trace all of Darlington's modern growth, all of Middlesbrough's modern growth, all of Saltburn, Shildon, all of those places' modern growth, right back to this thing here. And that's why it's so important that Darlington cherishes and looks after its railway heritage in the way that it is now doing.
The wonderful new Head of Steam Darlington Railway Museum is now open for business. Please come and visit us soon.
I've worked in museums all my life. After leaving university, I worked at Beamish Museum, and then at Edinburgh, and then for Tyne and Wear Museums. And when the opportunity came to help with the refurbishment project, I was absolutely delighted to do so, in conjunction with many other people who are based both here at the museum and the friends at the museum and volunteers and all sorts of other individuals who have given enormous help in the total refurbishment project. The museum opened in 1975, and when the opportunity came to apply for lottery funding, the idea was to look at the complete building. So the refurbishment programme has consisted of many elements. Moving the locomotives around so that we had a better representative example of locomotives built in Darlington, redoing all the displays, as well as refurbishing a lot of the rooms to make improved visitor facilities.
One of the few things I knew about Darlington before coming was the fact it's the home of the railways. And so I made it my business to come to this museum to see locomotion and to learn a bit about the heritage. Not only does it tell the history of the railways in Darlington, but also it tells how they helped Darlington as a town develop and to make it the place it is today. In the 19th century, we were the centre of world technology, and I believe that we can look forward with some ambition to Darlington being as significant in the future, and this museum is a part of that ambition and a part of our future.
My name's Maddie Grout and I'm the Collections Officer here at Head of Steam. We're trying to encourage people to realise that this isn't just a place for if you really like locomotives or if you have a family. If you'd like to know more about the local area or become more cultured with other aspects of history, then we can provide that information as well. This is about Piercebridge Roman Fort. So it's a local place, not very far up the road, maybe about 20 minutes. So it's somewhere where people can easily get to, discover more about the history of this area, and also to promote local museums such as the Bowes Museum, who've very kindly lent us the items in the exhibition. It's all very fascinating, and I hope that people find it as fascinating as I do.
It's fabulous. The last time I was in the building was, I think it was probably 2002, and the roof was leaking, it was cold, it was damp, and if you look at it now, it's just absolutely fabulous, and a real credit to the team that have put it together. I think one of the reasons why, as a region, we haven't had the number of people coming to look at our railways is because we haven't shouted it from the rooftops, and I think with this, with Shildon, with lots of other railway developments that are happening across the region, it really will bring people into the area to look at what is some of the best bits of heritage of the North East.
We want to make the displays interesting and fun and exciting to the general public who have an interest in the subject or an interest in railway history generally, or in Darlington's history generally, without wanting to make it too technical and too specific for people who don't have that sort of deep interest in the subject. But we hope that we've struck a balance in that we have a reasonably detailed outline history of the various themes that we've covered, without going into literally the nuts and bolts of how each locomotive was constructed, or the technicalities of each item on display. So we tried to cater for as broad an audience as possible, but for the general public interest rather than the enthusiasts.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's such a dramatic improvement on what we had before, and I think it was much needed. I think it's overdue, and I think it's great to come in and see how well the money's been spent. I've really been impressed.
We have 4 locomotives on the tracks between the 2 platforms. Locomotion is at the head of the queue, and locomotion forms the centrepiece in the opening of the Stockton and Darlington Railway section. The other 3 locomotives were all built in Darlington, and they've been, behind locomotion, they've been placed in chronological order. So Derwent, behind us, was built in 1845. The Tennant locomotive, which is next in line, was built in 1885. And the Q7 goods locomotive was built in 1919.
Well, it looks absolutely superb to me. Of course, I'm a great sucker for anything to do with railways, and I think I'm pretty common within the North East. We're hugely proud of where we've come from in the North East, and anything to do with railways, with iron and steel and with shipbuilding, we're immensely proud of. And I think this is a great celebration of the tremendous contribution that Darlington has made to the beginning and to the development of the railways.
Oh, it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been, I think, a chance in a lifetime really to be able to see a project through to a conclusion like this. But it's been done with the help of an awful lot of people. Everybody, all the staff in the museum,